Hello, my name is 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛, and we're just going to get right into the heartbreak that is Chapter 369 of Berserk, The Fading Isle. And this video is actually brought to you by The Shonen Beat, which is actually the manga I draw myself and have for the last couple years. If I had to sum it up in comparing it to two series, it would be the combination of One Piece and Berserk. And it's a story where instruments have been outlawed and weaponized, and all music is regulated. And as corny as that sounds, I try to make it as serious and adult, scary as I possibly can. And that starts with, being in school again. But you don't have to take my word for it. The mega famous YouTuber Real Life Ryan himself has two videos reviewing the first 10 chapters of my manga, The Shonen Beat, on his channel. I'll leave a link in the description. And if you'd like to check the series out, my website crashed beyond my repair, so until I can get it fixed, I put everything on my Patreon for free. So if you like Berserk and you like One Piece at all, and you're willing to give in my opinion, really one of the only good American mangas ever, a chance, please check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. And this chapter of Berserk was super heavy, but it was also pretty super short. Thankfully, we saw 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛 and 𝚙𝚑𝚡 on page 1, and we see that they're alive. We haven't seen them since Griffith took hold of Casca, and I was a little bit afraid that maybe they had vanished or disappeared or something along the crazy magical lines of Berserk world. I'm glad to see that they were just still kind of just there, just not showing the background, I guess, of the panels. The slightly less detailed background art is kind of a go-to in this chapter, sadly, and maybe the 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛 and 𝚙𝚑𝚡 stuff was just a victim of that. And then we see this full pinup page of Puck, and I really hope this isn't the last time that we've seen him. I don't think that he fades away in this chapter, but I will touch on at the end of this video what I think is going to happen based on if he's gone or if he's still in the story. But the chapter continues on with all of Elfhelm collapsing and falling into the water, which is what I said in my very first Berserk video. In fact, you can watch all my Berserk videos. Each one of them has kind of been a greatest hits of correct predictions for all of these chapters. I'm very, very proud of myself. I absolutely love Berserk, and you have to read my Shonen Beat series to kind of see the love that I have for the series that just kind of oozes out in every page. But when it comes to Berserk, I feel intrinsically tied to it, and the fact that I've been getting a lot of these predictions right makes me feel good, but mostly makes me feel good that as a writer I feel, not anywhere near close to Kentaro Miura, but at least close enough that I can sniff his footprints. And then we get this great bird's eye view of the island, and it looks like a tree that's missing a trunk, which you'll have to watch my newer Berserk video or whatever, the one covering chapter 368, but I kind of talk about how Guts, Griffith, and Casca have a relation to maybe a sort of pseudo-world tree, and that each one of them inhabits one of the characteristics of the leafage or foliage on top, the tree or trunk itself, and then the roots underneath the ground, and that each member of the group corresponds to one of those aspects of the tree, maybe all kind of tying into a spirit world Berserk tree. And I say in that video that Casca relates to the roots of the tree, and Griffith to the foliage, and Guts to the trunk of the tree. And even though that this tree in Casca has been taken and it looks like the trunk is missing, I still believe that those aspects of the tree correspond to those characters that I said previously. And in this case, it's referring to Guts now being mentally and emotionally lost and just displaced and torn apart and fading away and everything. The missing trunk is his missing psyche and clarity and goal. He's had the goal of helping Casca for 200 chapters, and now that is gone and taken away from him. He is perhaps more lost now than he's been since he was a child. And then if all this Casca and Griffith stuff wasn't heartbreaking enough, all of the magical creatures on Elfhelm seem to disappear with the uprooting of this spiritual tree in Elfhelm, and it's really heartbreaking here. And I hate to say it, but I think there's a lot going on here, and I kind of have two different routes I think that the story might go based on if Puck is still around or not, honestly. Which, since this chapter is so short, I guess we'll just kind of get into right now. This last shot, this kind of like fairy dust around the handle of the Dragon Slayer sword, I think it can kind of be implying one of two things. One, Puck has dissipated, and he may have evaporated from the story. Now, I don't so much think that, because he didn't seem to be super tied to 𝚲𝚘𝚅, and he was traveling abroad for quite a bit, at least before the start of the story. So I'm not 100% sure if he is gone too. But if Puck has disappeared here, then I really am starting to fear for 𝙲𝚘𝚎 and his future fate in the series. 𝙲𝚘𝚎 and Guts are super similar, but I feel like the main aspect that kind of creates a difference between them is the depth and despair and horror of Guts' childhood. The sexual assault, the violence, all of that kind of created a rock bottom foundation, at least emotionally, in Guts, that he knows just how cruel humanity can be, and there are links that he is not willing to go to no matter where he is pushed. And 𝙲𝚘𝚎 has not faced those same kind of huge issues to kind of shape his personality to not resort to using anything. And what I mean by that is both Guts and 𝙲𝚘𝚎 seem to utilize any weapon available to them in a fight to try to gain an edge and win and survive. They will use dirt, they will use fire, they will use sand, you know, tricks, anything.
Pocket sand.
Anything is fair game to them when it comes to a fight for survival. Now, very importantly, Guts has said that he will not stoop down to the level of using a 𝚬𝚘 and becoming an apostle to gain that power. Well, I think a huge part of that is because he knows just how deep down the despair of humanity and how dark a human soul can become, that he doesn't want to mess with that. Well, 𝙲𝚘𝚎 does not know those abysses of human nature, and I believe that all of this stuff and all of these looking through the light and pages at 𝚬𝚜 and looking at 𝙲𝚘𝚎 here and right about to be heartbroken when he loses 𝚲𝚅 for what we know might be forever. Whatever it is, his first love has been yanked and just totally ripped apart from him, and his heart at this moment is shattered. And I believe that if all of this might be, in fact, on purpose to kind of create a despair inside of 𝙲𝚘𝚎 and set him off on the path of being the member of Guts' party to eventually use that beachy 𝚬𝚘 that Puck has held onto for so long. If Puck is not there anymore, if Puck has disappeared and he's vanished, then that 𝚬𝚘 is going to be looking for a new owner, and I believe that it is probably going to choose someone in intense heartbreak and despair right now. And there, you know, I'm sure a lot of people can attest to, sometimes there is no greater pain than that first love kind of, you know, dwindling out and that flame ending. No matter what reason it is, that pain kind of being a huge shaping factor in anyone's life. And 𝙲𝚘𝚎 and Griffith, I would argue a lot of Griffith's actions during the eclipse are because his, you know, first love Guts kind of spurned him and did not reciprocate those same feelings in some fashion, you know, as far as wanting to follow orders under him, whatever it may be. I believe that same kind of equation might be happening inside of 𝙲𝚎𝚎's head, and that despair is starting to grow, which may eventually force him to use the 𝚬𝚘 to try to set things right or to get things back. And 𝙲𝚎𝚎, unlike Guts, who kind of knows there is no magical remedy to fix life, 𝙲𝚎𝚎 may be more susceptible to thinking that there is, which is essentially the promise of the God Hand. But like I said, I think a lot of that depends on whether or not Puck is still around or not following this chapter. Either way, I think there's a good chance that 𝙲𝚎𝚎 will be the one to use it, but if Puck is gone right now, I think those chances increase 100-fold. And with that, my name is 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚑𝚝. If you've watched this whole video, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to see future content. I'm trying to get out at least 1 or 2 videos every single week, and we're so close to 200 subscribers. It would be such a cool goal to get to this early. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing and commenting what you think. Thank you so much for watching this whole video. I will talk to you all next time. My name is 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚑𝚝. Bye-bye.